Hi, this is Bill from MessickStove on YouTube and MessickStove.com. I'm going to go over the EnergyMax 110. It used to be called EnergyMax Plus 110 from DS Stoves, and now we're just basically calling it the EnergyMax 110. And basically the same stove, just relabeling it a little bit. And so the 160 was called EnergyMax Extreme 160. I still go by the Extreme, and the 110 also goes by the Plus, which I still go by the Plus. In short, EnergyMax 110 and EnergyMax 160 is basically the same family, and the difference between the 110 and the 160 is the size and the amount of BTUs, and also the exhaust size. So seen many videos probably of me in the 160 talking about it, the DS stove. Great machine. I use it to heat my home. I use wood in it, and also now burning coal as well. So there's some videos of that out there as well, are coming up here shortly. So this 110 will do basically everything in design, in concept, and purpose as the 160. In other words, it's going to talk. It's the same layout inside. It's just a little smaller. The cubic firebox is a tad bit smaller on the 110, of course, and that gives you less BTUs. The 110 is rated at 110,000 BTUs. The 160 was rated at 160,000 BTUs, thus giving it the name 110 and 160. So 110 is also a great stove. I sell a lot of the 110s. Matter of fact, I have one of these in Alaska. The 110 is actually in a home in Alaska. They're loving it, enjoy it. So keeping their house nice and warm. And there's a big story behind that. And maybe one day I'll do a video on that, tell you the story about Alaska and the 110 stove, and how that all came about, and what's also involved and how they're using it, and because that's very a good testimonial and to the product as well. And they never had a stove heat their entire house other than the 110 and be able to get all-night burns. And so it's a really great story, and hopefully I'll do a video on that as well. And so the 110 is very popular. We also have the 75 out, which is very similar. It's a video out there for MessickStove as well on the 75. Some good details on inside and out. And the 110 here is a kind of the 75 is kind of a downsized version of a 160 and a 110. And the reason they've done that is, of course, the stoves are designed to heat your house. The 110 DS stoves in general, the purpose of a stove at freestanding, which is 110 is a freestanding stove, meaning radiant heat. It sits there on the floor, doesn't connect to any ductwork, any electric, any piping or plumbing. So a freestanding stove, and it's designed to heat your whole home. What's the purpose of having a stove if you can't heat your home? And that's just kind of the concept. The DNS built stove, started building stoves over 30 some years ago. The purpose of was it to heat homes. I mean, to heat a house. And you know, it's, why would you have a stove just to look like a piece of furniture? Now there's people that like that, and I do sell products that, you know, look like a nice real piece of furniture, and it still puts out heat. But the point is, DS created stoves, okay, to heat homes, and the 110 was the smallest wood stove that they have, that they were offering in a wood and coal combination. And they have the DS circulator, which is they make some smaller models of those, coal only, for smaller square footage homes and stuff, and they're coal only though. I mean, you can burn wood in it just to get you by or something, an emergency, or, you know, of course you use wood to start it to get your coal going, but it's not designed as a totally wood burning stove to heat your home. So you're not going to get the BTUs and the heat off of the circulator trying to burn wood in it as well. So just keep that in mind, because that's another video to come, and a lot of people are being misled there, and I want to make sure I correct that. So the 110 stove is a wood burning and coal burning stove, and this is the smallest one they made. So the 75, a long story short here, I do apologize, I'm getting around to it, that the 75 was created for the purpose of creating less BTUs for a smaller square footage home or area. And can you imagine sticking this 110 in your living room? Some people's living rooms, like a great room or a big large room, it would be fine. In a lot of cases, I go to houses that don't have large living rooms, and putting this 110 in their living room would not be a good idea, because basically they won't be able to sit in their living room comfortably, and if that's where they watch their TV and such, then maybe basically having the TV in the living room, or have to move the TV and sitting in the kitchen watching TV, or moving the TV into another room because the 110 stove would have been too much. So they came out with a 75. It's called the ComfortMax 75. It's 70,000 BTUs, and the wood loads east to west. So the 110 is very popular. That's what we're talking about, and I'm just letting you know that there is a step below this and a step above. The 110 is a great product. You can't really go wrong in purchasing a 110 stove and heating your whole home. And so back to the living room, where people have a 110, trying to put a 110 in there, that if their house is small enough, or fits in within the square footage of the 110, which is up to 2,500 square feet, I believe it's 2,500 now. That was at one time they had it 24, so we'll just say roughly 2,400 square feet for the 110. And let's say you only had 1,200 square feet upstairs, the first level, and you have a basement. Now that's what we want to do. We want to be able to put the 110 in your basement. So now you have 2,400 square feet with the basement. Let's say your basement's the same size as your living room. So now we can put the 110 inside your basement, install it, do a chimney system outside, or put a liner in, or if you have existing masonry chimney system, we can put a liner in, or you just tap into your existing terracotta chimney system if it's fine, or existing chimney system that you have, but it has to have its own independent chimney system. You can't connect this to existing boiler or a forced air unit or a hot water heater exhaust. So it has to, a wood and coal stove must and is required to have its own chimney system. So that's very important. And so back to the 110 here. Now if we put it in your basement, heat your whole home, and the mess, if you want to call it, could be in the basement. And it depends on the setup. Some people have finished basements. It's even better because they're insulated, hopefully, and you have even more protection in the home for the heat from escaping. And so the 110 is a great unit. Like I said, basement would be great. If you have a larger home, you can put it in an upstairs situation, put it in shops, offices, other buildings, greenhouses, if you have a certain type of greenhouse that you could set up and have this in. So it's easy to maintain, it's easy to run, 8 to 12 hours on wood. And burning oak, red oak, let's talk about different species of wood and what happens. And the 160 and the 110, like I said, are very similar. So the 110 is going to give you between 8 and 12 hours, most likely 12 hours on red oak of burning. And I'll leave you with some hot coals at the bottom. You'll be able to open the loading door up, throw some more wood in it, close it up, and within minutes the wood will actually catch, turn into flames, and continue to burn on. Now this is a complete burn, by the way. We're not talking about damping it down. Since we're talking about damping it down, the two dials that you see on the bottom doors are fake. They're just for looks. On the back of the stove there's a bimetal regulator, which you'll probably see and the 160, the 75, and some of the other stoves have them as well. It's also on my website, MessickStove.com. There's information, some diagrams showing you the DS regulator, and it's bimetal. Basically, once the stove gets to 400 degrees, if that's your running temperature, you will basically dial that down, close it so the chain is taut, and the flap is sitting flush on there. And if you're burning wood, you want to have, there's a little set screw. Just make sure that set screw set a little bit. Could be about 1/16 of an inch. It could be a little more depending on your situation, but usually about 1/16 of an inch is good, a little gap. And you'll get a full burn. I mean literally a full burn between 8 and 12 hours. Now the red oak, you'll definitely get 12 hours of a full burn on that. Now I say full burn, meaning that you're not choking it down. It will ride between 400 and 500 degrees and heat your home for 12 hours. Very impressive. That's a normal burn. Now, if it gets colder outside, your house gets a little colder, and you run the stove a little hotter. Let's say you push it closer to 550, and you get almost closer to 6. Then you're not going to get the 12 hours. You may get 10. Okay, and depending on how you're burning it, it's between maybe a little less than 10. But usually with red oak, you can get 12 hours and then 10 hours, and then occasionally, depending if you're running pretty hard straight for a long time and you just keep back and back feeding it, you'll probably get about 8 hours. So either way, you'll get an all night sleep without having to maintain a stove and wake up to a nice, very warm home. Years ago, and like I said, I've been burning for over 20 some years, and used to wake up to the house being cold. And the same thing with my Alaska friends there. I have the 110 stove. They used to wake up every morning with the house being cold. With the 110, you won't have that problem. It'll burn all night long. You'll wake up, get a good night's sleep, wake up, and your house is still nice and warm. You go to bed with the temperature in your house set, and then you wake up, it's usually the same temperature you went to bed as. Great product. So the 110 is very similar to the 160. If there's some more questions about the 110, take a look at the 160 videos on MessickStove.com. On the YouTube as well as a MessickStove, and there's quite a few on the 160, and it's very similar, same concept. So I'll have another video out going over the details as well, inside and outside, and going over the things just to make sure that you get a complete understanding and visual of the 110 as well. I do have a second 110 here that I'm leaning on, by the way, next to the camera here, that I have some boxes in, and I want to show you how many boxes, and I'll give you the dimensions of the boxes, fit into the 110. I have customers asking, how many logs can you put into a 110 stove or a 160 stove? And the answer to that question is the square footage. What's the square footage of the 110? The square footage, the fireboxes, that's the amount of firewood it'll take. If I tell you 8 logs, and you have very large logs, and then you're going to say, well, I can't get 8 in there, I got 6 in there. Well, then your logs are split bigger than what I split mine. So if I tell you, 12 logs, because they're smaller splits, or I tell you, and you're saying, oh, well, I get like 14 pieces of logs in the 110 because you split them smaller than I do. So it's a hard question to answer. So I have the boxes inside the 110 stove here, and the purpose with having the boxes in there was for shipping purposes, for me to move the stove around. And since I have them in there, I'm going to pull them out, and then I'm going to stack them up on the floor and then have you guys look at them, so you'll see the actual size of it. So again, this is the 110 stove from DNS Machines. It's the EnergyMax 110, formerly known as the EnergyMax Plus 110. Still the same stove. Great product. They've been around for a while. People are really loving them, and they're pretty much almost the #1 selling stove. But I do believe the 75 is going to either catch up to them right here soon, or even surpass that possibility, because the 75s are getting very popular as well. Just a little smaller stove. So again, this is Bill from MessickStove and MessickStove on YouTube. And I want to go over the product here. There'll be a few more videos on the 110. I want to show you, do a walk around, show you the product. And like I said, this one here is sitting on a pallet. and I have the pallet up on some blocks as well. So when I go to stand next to it, you'll see that it's not that tall, and I'm not that short. So it's the pallets and the blocks at the bottom. So just to give you an idea, you see that in the video. Like I said, it's a great looking stove. Pretty much go over some of the handles and stuff. I'll go over in the other video too. But the ash door at the bottom is your ash door with the ash handle. The handle to the left of that, okay, coming straight up in the air, is your ash. That's your shaker grate handles for your ashes, for coal mostly. You can use it for wood, but you want to keep several inches of wood ash in there on the grates with your wood on top to get a nice longer burn that way, and a little more controlled burn. So the shaker grate handles on the side there to the left coming up is used for coal. Minimum every 8 to 12 hours you want to probably shake that coal down, and somewhere in that to get the dead coal and burn up coal, the consumed coal out into your ash pan, and allow the new coal to breathe and continue to burn and heat your home. Now the next handle up, of course, is your loading door, and that also has a locking handle in it. It's really nice. It's all cast iron doors. That's a cast iron door loading door and cast iron door ash door. And the knob in the dead center top is probably one of your most important knobs on there. It's it's actually the stove damper, okay? And when it's in a closed position as it is now, it forces the smoke and everything to go through all the chambers and around the outside the stove, and then back up, and then robs the fuel basically of all its heat, and then out the exhaust out the top. So when you open it, your exhaust goes straight out through your stovepipe and out the chimney. So long story short, very important knob to have, and when you burn the stove, keep it closed, okay? The knob to the right of that at the top, there should be little letters there, L on the left and H on the right. May not be able to see it from here, but that's the high and low, and that's the air wash, letting air in between, cold air in between the door, the glass, the door and the glass and the door, and the smoke and the burn inside. So that'll keep a cold layer of air in between the glass and your smoke or burning, and help keep your glass cleaner a little longer. So in most cases, if you're doing a really good burn, or if you're burning coal, it'll stay pretty clean. You still have to clean it and maintain it, and that's pretty easy. So again, this is Bill, MessickStove on YouTube and MessickStove.com. Just wanted to go over the 110 stove, the EnergyMax 110 from DS Stoves, and we'll go ahead and have some more videos out here for you. Give us a call at MessickStove.com. Check us out. Our number's on there, and we'll be glad to help you out and get these 110 out to you. I mean, they're very popular, and hopefully you'll be interested in one. Give us a call. We'll take care of you. And remember, we're here for you before the sale, during the sale, and after the sale. And we're going to help you also if you have any problems with installation, setup, or anything else. So that's part of MessickStove service to you. And we're not going to sell you a stove and kick you to the curb and say good luck to you. Here at MessickStove, we enjoy heating our home and homes with wood stoves and coal stoves, and we really enjoy this. So it's something we want to help others as well experience the benefit of it, and also to save money heating their homes. So again, this is Bill from MessickStove on YouTube and MessickStove.com.